How to start a programming career in 2020 is today's topic. And I wanted to share my own experiences of how I went about it, some of the mistakes I've made, and some of the things that I would recommend if I was doing it again. If you don't know who I am, I'm Adrian from Australia. I do videos around design and development. So if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and we're just going to jump straight into it. For me, when I started out doing programming and development in general, I wasn't really confident in myself. I took a very long time to join into the career of doing development. For me, it took 5 to 10 years before I got started. And I know that this seems like a really long time, but for a lot of people, this is how long they might spend. And this is simply because there are a lot of languages, technologies, libraries, frameworks out there to learn. And even when you do learn them, there are so many modules and plugins and other things that you need to know to be able to get started. And the other aspect to this is that when you're then on the job market and you're looking at applying for jobs and you're looking at the requirements, they require you to have 5 to 10 years of experience in certain things. They require you to understand a vast majority of items that just might not be available when you're starting out, especially as a junior. And this is where I wanted to get into how I would go about joining a career in development if I was starting out. If I was beginning from zero, having no knowledge whatsoever of programming, the very first thing I would do is join a bootcamp. I think bootcamps are really good because they push you to learn a lot in a very short period of time. And there's also some objectives with tests and actual results that you get when you do this. The certificate might mean something to you or it might not. And it might also mean something to the employer too. But the main result is that you want to understand your fundamentals and basics when you're learning to program. These is what you'll be using essentially throughout your whole career. I know for me, it took me many years to learn my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but even to this day, even today even, I've been using those fundamentals to do my work. And I think those are the most important and essential things for having a career in development in general. If you understand your fundamentals, you'll be able to do just fine. And this is the next thing. As soon as you do your bootcamp or your learning material in general, that's when you should be applying for jobs straight away as soon as you know those. A lot of people fall into the trap. They go into tutorial hell where they keep learning more and more and more, and it never seems enough. Because there is an infinite amount of resources online, you'll always be able to learn more and more. And there does need to be a limit. And for me, I think that limit needs to be the fundamentals. After you learn those, you can start applying immediately. And the other aspect to this is not to be scared of applying to the jobs, because a lot of people overstate exactly what they need when you're applying. They might need 10 years of experience in a certain language, but in the most part, they're just looking for anyone who's available to do that. And that's just a range to let people know that they need to be able to apply, whether they've got 1 year, 10 years, or they're just starting out. A lot of the hard stuff that you do when you get into a career in programming is actually done once you get started. And a lot of that stuff is learned on the go. You'll have other colleagues, you'll have mentors, and you'll have other things like documentation to help you along the way. So it's not that required to know everything when you're beginning out. And you don't have to worry that much about your career in general. The next aspect to this is that if you're applying for a job and you're looking for a career, it's really important to have a good portfolio site. For me, if I'm looking to recruit someone, that's one of the very first things I'll look at. And this means that your website has essentially a really nice design. It's got some examples of your content. It also has some of the work you've done, because what I'll be doing is looking at your code. I'll be having a look at how you've done a project or something like that. And it's really important to have those listed on your portfolio. If you're just starting out and you don't have any projects just yet, it's a good idea to go out there and build a few that you can really show off as good work examples. You can do this by freelancing or doing some work for some friends or family that's really basic, but it at least gives you an example of work that you can use to show off to clients when you're looking for a job. And these fundamentals will help you get a career in programming in general. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this advice. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.